All right, welcome back to another episode of Ultramorons. Me, as usual, your host Lane, joined with
Connor once again.
once again,
Yep, for the, what, fifth time or
fifth
something,
time. Yeah, it just keeps going. We left off last time. Isfahan 3, virus bombs. Gero escaped. One got to tell Rogel Dorn. Dorn was like, "I can't. That's so crazy. I need to go confront him." And Malcador takes Gero to go tell the Emperor. A lot of other stuff happened too, but whatever. We're not going to talk about that right now. What we're going to talk about is a little flashback episode again, like we did for Word Bearers. We're going to do it with Alpha Legion. Alpha Legion, we're talking about the book called Legion, and here's a picture of the Alpha Legion. They're usually blue with the green dragon symbol, Hydra Dominatus or something like that. Hail Hydra, Marvel stuff. So, Legion is an interesting book because we're following kind of regular people interacting with Alpha Legion. So, one of the main characters is a guy called Hurtado Bronzi, who is part of this thing called the Geno 5-2 Chiliad. And what that means is these are basically genetic soldiers. They're made to be like, I don't say super soldiers because they're not space marines, but they're like special forces, right? Navy SEALs, but like with a little extra on top.
Okay.
And he was born on Earth and he's Catholic, which basically is Catholic, which is interesting because religion's not allowed in the Imperium, but he kind of just keeps it to himself. He knows better than that.
Okay.
He is attached to the 670th Expedition Fleet. So yeah, he is a human soldier that is interacting with the Alpha Legion. He's kind of going through the story. So, and the Geno 5 to Chiliad comes from the Greek chilioi, which means unit of 1,000. So there's 1,000 of them. And they also have these people with them called Uxors, and Uxors are female psychic coordinators. Like psychers, but in a different way. So it's a very advanced soldiers here. So this fleet has been attempting to bring the world of Nerth into imperial compliance, and the Nerthrian have resisted through this insurgency that they can't quite figure out, and it has dragged on way longer than it should have. And the Alpha Legion arrive, but like most legions when they show up, it's a big thing, right? They show up in the big spaceships, they come down like, we're here to save the day, right? Alpha Legion, they don't really do that. They are basically already appear. They're there, they're just there now. You're like, when did you just get here? It's like, we've always been here. No, you weren't. Yes, we have. Don't worry about it. And you're like, these guys are weird. They're integrated already. They know what's going on already. Like they're already locked in. You're like, this is so like it's like almost chilling, you know?
Right.
They're basically telling everybody what they need to know and kind of what's going on. But the problem is the 670 staff don't know where all the Alpha Legion people are. They know where some of them are, but they don't know where the rest of them are, which is kind of annoying because you're like, how can we coordinate with you if you don't know what you guys are doing? It's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what we're doing. We're going to tell you what to worry about. So Bronzi, they counter the Alpha Legion and they ask who they are. And they say, I'm Alpharius. And one says, I'm Alpharius. Says, we are all Alpharius. We're Alpha Legion. And we are all one. He's like, this is awful. Like, he's like, why couldn't we get like the Blood Angels or somebody, like
one of the more normal legions.
Yeah, like this stinks. Because they all look like this, bald, olive, hairless men. They all look the same too. So yeah, how do you feel about that? Dealing with the Alpha Legion who are just so not easy to work with.
I mean, I don't even know how you would, right? Like, oh, hey, can you get your help on this? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you guys up to? I don't know. What
Right.
are we up to? Okay.
We need to find this paper. You mean this paper? So you had it the whole time?
I don't know. Maybe. Okay.
Cool. This stinks. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's definitely confusing. So another person there that is important as well is a man named John Grammaticus. And Grammaticus is a controversial character, I'll say, with fans. Because, and we'll kind of get into later on as he does more and more stuff, but he is a perpetual. He is what is it called? A logo kind or logo keen, which basically means he can speak any language as long as he can physically speak it. Like if you need like another like organ to speak it, he can't speak it. But like if it's like any human language, he can easily speak it. Any like alien language that he's like think about it and like hear it spoken, basically like an AI, right? He just downloads the thing and speaks it because he's a psyker too. Okay. That's his psychic powers to learn languages. Probably the best power ever, honestly. but he's kind of hidden right now as an officer called Koenig Henniker. And Koenig is, just some guy, I'm just a regular guy hanging out with you guys doing stuff, because I mean, John Grammaticus is 1,000 years old. He is very old, and he knows exactly what he's doing every time he's doing it. Very smart.
So if he's like thousands of years old, he's not a human.
He's a perpetual, though.
Okay, what?
So a perpetual is a person who dies and is reborn, basically as many times as they do. At some point, he'll come back again, and then at some point, he'll come back again. And it just depends on it's variable. Perpetuals are very honestly. I think this book is the first time we really see that term brought up. So it's kind of a weird one. It kind of works however they want it to work.
Okay. And is that the kind of controversial nature of?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the only two other perpetuals that I know of are Vulcan and the Emperor. So imagine this regular old human is also one too. You're like, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
He's also kind of annoying, honestly, in a way. He's very marbly with his. He's like, oh, that was weird, stuff like that. Like quips. You're just like, all right, man. Like he feels a little weird. I don't hate him, but you never see how people don't like him. He definitely feels out of place sometimes.
Okay.
So he works for aliens called the Xenos, I guess, right? Called the Cabal. And the Cabal is like a secret society of a bunch of different Xenos races. He uses this Nurth campaign as cover to basically infiltrate the Alpha Legion and to tell them to talk with the Cabal, because the Cabal needs to tell the Alpha Legion something very important for their eyes only. And the reason is the Alpha Legion are the only ones who like listen to it the best, because they've tried to before with the Dark Angels. They said Dark Angels are too far gone, so we didn't really cover that in that book. But there's a part in, I think it's Descent of Angels, where Zahariel is fighting this Calibanite lion, and the Calibanite lion is this super beast of an like only one has ever been killed, and it was killed by Lionel Johnson. So that's kind of what you're dealing with here. This mega panther, right?
Right.
Zahariel goes out the woods to go kill one, and they're like, "You're gonna die, man. You're like 15 years old. You cannot kill this like super lion, right?" He's like, "I'll figure it out." And he goes out the woods. He fights one of the things. He's about to kill, munch his head off, and he basically stops time and like reaches through the thing's body and like shoots its heart from the inside out, and then he kills it. But it's because he's a psyker and he has like the power of like, I can't remember what they call it, but it's like you can like basically move through matter.
Okay.
Like Kitty Pryde or something. Like
Yeah.
one of the members from the Cabal goes to visit him and says, "Hey, you can be a very powerful thing to help us in the future. We need your help." And he says, I don't know. I'm kind of like a 15-year-old. I don't know if I can do that. And they're like, "Trust me, you need to like make sure that some things happen." He's like, "Oh, maybe. I don't know. This sounds crazy." And they're like, "Never mind. We'll go somewhere else." So they go to John Grammaticus, basically. Well, John Grammaticus is one of them. And they're like, "Hey, you need to get us in contact with the Alpha Legion because we need to tell them something that we're trying to tell the Dark Angel. The Dark Angel is too far gone. So maybe the Alpha Legion, because Alpha Legion is the 20th Legion, the last one that was ever made. So they're less tainted, as the Cabal calls them.
Okay.
And what does that really mean? I don't really know.
That's what I was going to ask. What do they mean by that? Okay.
It's more of just like less time to be indoctrinated into the system of the Imperium, which still doesn't really make sense, because just because they're the last doesn't mean they were like, "Oh yeah, we made the Alpha Legion 500 years later." It's like you made them like a week later. Like,
right.
It's like really a week. Like it.
There's really a difference.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyways, Grammaticus is kind of their instrument. They want to use him to, because he's human, which is already easy enough to get into contact with Alpha because they can deal with human.
Right.
Because a lot of them are aliens. So if Eldar goes up to the Alpha Legion and says, "You need to listen to me," they're gonna just crush his head like a grape. Like, what I mean? So it's like that meme picture of, it's like, yeah, you could draw, like, I mean, it's like that picture I showed you with Fulgrim, the last episode where he's killing the Eldar. It would be like that, right? So that's not gonna work. Or if you're like one of these bug guys, that's not gonna work either. So like best bet's gonna be you because you're human. So yeah, they send him, and these aliens, a lot of them are so old, so ancient, that they're like, one of them in the book, I can't remember what they're called, but they're so ancient that they're literally just clouds of matter that is like slowly dissolving away. Like they have reached the apex of like their civilization, and civilization is literally, entropy is killing them. So it's kind of dumb, but it's like whatever, right? So, but they need to make a warning to the Alpha Legion about something called the Primordial Annihilator, and that's civil terrors is chaos. And they need to warn. They need to tell them, you need to, like, chaos is going to be the number one enemy for everybody at a certain point if you do not do something about it. Because remember, nobody knows what chaos really is except for a handful of people. Like the Emperor, obviously, Loken kind of, Horus, and Word Bearers. And I guess Magnus probably because he's a whatever, but like not enough where he can make a real change.
Right.
And it's not just a threat to humanity, it's a threat to everybody in the entire universe. Like if this doesn't stop, everything's dead. So they need to figure this out. And one of the people in the Cabal, I can't remember his name. It's like Gahut or something like that, or Mahut. He is so old that there's theories that he is an old one. An old one, which I don't know if we ever covered that. I guess it would be the first episode of this channel, which is like a year ago now, which eventually maybe we'll redo, but just with like updated lore and stuff and more cleaner. Millions and millions of years ago, there was just the old ones and the Necrontyr. And the Necrontyr fought a war with the old ones, war in heaven, and eventually all the old ones were killed off. But nobody knows what the old ones look like because there's none left. Like they died off millions and millions and millions of years ago, like hundreds of millions of years ago, probably even longer than that, honestly. Maybe not billions, but very, very, very long time ago. So the fact that there's still one still alive probably is actually insane because these beings are considered so powerful that they could just do this before the warp was really the warp too. So they had warp powers they could use, no issue at all. So they were doing some crazy magic. But think of it like the Phoenix Force if you could control it.
Right.
So it's like they were just doing whatever they want. Yeah, the Necrontyr kind of killed them all off with some help with some other things, but it's a whole thing. We don't need to get into it. But yes, so one of them is supposedly an old one, which is crazy. So these guys know what they're talking about. This isn't just some group of just random aliens. And also, they really don't like that they have to use John Grammaticus anyways, because he's a human. They really don't like humans, which you'll find with a lot of alien races. So over the course of the book, you know that the Alpha Legion has a Primarch named Alpharius, and he is elusive. And every time you try to ask, where's Alpharius? I'm Alpharius. No, you're not. Where's Alpharius? I'm Alpharius. Oh, man. This is so annoying. I need to talk to Alpharius. We talking to him now. No, I'm not. I know I'm not. But sometimes you don't know because, I mean, some people who have like really keen eyes can tell the difference. Which actually, when they say how this guy notices a difference, it's like, how wouldn't we notice that? Like, one thing you notice, like, one of them is taller than the rest of them, and the other one, like, and one of them has like no hair at all, like no eyebrows, no like head follicles, but the other one has like a shaven head, so you can see his little hair follicles, and like also one of them has like a sloped brow, like Horus does. And he's like, that's probably Alpharius. It's like, wouldn't everybody notice that then? That one of you guys is taller than the other ones? Like,
Right.
I think you're Alpharius. How do you know? Because you're the tallest one.
You're
smart.
noticeably taller than everyone.
Wow, you're kind of smart. So some people can notice the difference, but for the average person, I guess it's too hard to perceive.
Okay.
Which, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But Grammaticus eventually sees two armored figures talking on the floor of a rock basin. Two figures who move identically, the same build, the same bearing, the same face. He reaches out psychically and he's like, I need to confirm it. And he says, all right, perfect. But he gets cut off basically right away. Like he reaches out, he gets basically their contact information, but then cut off. And he goes, oh, like what I get cut off by is another. Alpha Legion have their own psychers. So they knew he was trying to kind of tap in. But he can tell that's Alpharius and that's Omegon. Because there's Alpharius, but there's also Omegon. And Omegon is a twin brother of Alpharius. So there's two Primarchs. But nobody knows that Omegon exists. He's kind of a secondary thing there. Very few people know he exists. Okay. So it's kind of weird that there's, like, if somebody ever asks you, how many Primarchs are in Warhammer? That's a hard question. Well, it's like, there's 20. Well, is there? Or is there 18? Or is there 19? Or is there 21? Because two don't exist. Technically, Omegon doesn't exist, but it does exist. But you're not supposed to know he exists. But technically, there's 21 that were made. It's one of those questions. Anyways, but he still doesn't know which one is Alpharius and Omegon, though. He said, the book says he couldn't tell them apart. They were like twins. So he knows that these are probably Alpharius and Omegon, but I can't tell which one is which. Like, if he had a gun and says, shoot the clone version, he says, I'm shooting both of you. I can't tell. So, Alpharius is usually the public-facing one. Like, he'll do the meetings, he'll do the stuff, he'll do all the information. Whereas Omegon kind of likes to sneak about. And that's why you don't really know he exists. And he's very, very good at it. Or he'll just appear as, like, this. I'm Alpharius, you know? It's like, this Omegon. No, I'm Alpharius. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't think the Alpha Legion even know Omegon exists, right? That's insane. This book is weird, right? Because you're like, how do you even know? You want to talk about unreliable narrator. It's very much of that. We're like, okay, but that's why it's the book. This book is through the lens of Bronzi and Grammaticus, because you can trust both of them. Bronzi's a regular guy. I mean, he's a super soldier in a way, but he's just a regular guy. And Grammaticus is a human, perpetual, but he's also just a regular human.
Real quick, if he's looking at Omegon and Alpharius, would it, if they're both prime marks, right?
Yep.
Even though one's, I guess, not supposed to exist,
Mhm.
does it really matter which one he tells the stuff?
Yes, in a way, it needs to be both of them.
Mm.
Obviously, they can just tell each other, but they need to both be there. But what ends up happening is he meets Alpharius, and they know that he's been following them because they're not stupid. They know everything. And they finally sit down together, and then Alpharius is like, this isn't an accident. Like, we basically orchestrated you to meet us because we knew you were trying to talk to us.
Mm.
And he says, look, I need to tell you about the Cabal. And Alpharius says, okay. And he says, you need to bring the Cabal here to meet Alpharius. I'm going to board our ship. And we'll have a conversation about it. And what happens is Alpharius, Omegon, they're in a circle. Grammaticus and a human soldier named Tito Sonica board the Cabal's vessel. The Alpha Legion enters, guns ready, because it's just, they don't trust him, right? No, which is funny considering they're the Alpha Legion.
Right.
And Gehet speaks first. So is Gehet. Gehet is the old one.
Mm-hmm.
Gehet speaks first and speaks for the Cabal and says, Chaos cannot be permitted to gain control of the galaxy. Alpharius agrees. He says, that makes sense to me. And Gehet says, are you prepared to observe this thing called the Acuity, in which is this understanding of what needs to be done? They say, sure, show me the Acuity. And they show him two futures, and they both involve the Horus heresy. He says, one, if Horus wins, chaos triumphs, the galaxy burns, the human race is consumed. The vision is exactly as bad as it sounds. But Horus carries with him a remnant of what he once was. His self-loathing, goodness, at what he has become accelerates alongside his rage. In 2 or 3 generations, he drives himself toward total destruction, beginning the extermination of humanity itself out of shame, and eventually his allies turn against him. Chaos burns itself out. The human race is gone, but chaos dies with it too. It's a bad end, right? In a way.
Right.
And the other races basically inherit a galaxy free of chaos. Destruction of humanity saves everyone else. Future 2, the Emperor follows a Terra, striking Horus down, but he survives on the Golden Throne, sustained artificially, neither living nor dead. The Acuity shows what the Imperium will become, a vast, calcified machine seeking to perpetuate itself at the cost of everything that made it vital. Over thousands of years it decays, and in its decay, chaos seeps back. Basically, Gehet says, if the Emperor wins, stagnation will seize the Imperium. It will seek to perpetuate itself over again and over again across thousands of years, but it will decay, slowly and surely it will decay, and gradually allow chaos to seep back in and consume it. If the Emperor wins, Alpharius, chaos will ultimately triumph. 10, 20,000 years of misery and rot will follow until the Primordial Annihilator at last achieves ascendancy. And Alpharius asks one question. He says, so victory is defeat. And Omegon says, you're lying. That can't be the only 2 options. And Gehet says, we can't lie. Like, why would we lie to you about this? The slow, inexorable, there we go, conquest of chaos, or a brief period of terror and frenzy, creeping damnation, or a bloody century or 2 as the human race rips itself apart and expunges chaos from the galaxy. So he's like, Horus has to win. I don't know if you played Mortal Kombat 9.
No.
Okay, well, there's a part of Mortal Kombat 9 where it's just a retelling of, they do a reboot in a way, but there's part that Raiden keeps getting these messages from, like, past Raiden, where he keeps saying in this, like, the vision, he's like, he must win. But present Raiden is like, I don't know what I meant by that in the future. What I mean, but I don't know what that means. Why didn't I clarify? He's
Yeah.
like, oh, Liu Kang must win the tournament. And then it's like, oh, no, it's something else. It's like, what does he mean by he must win? And especially this, right? He must win refers to Horus needs to win. But he's like, but then we all die. So it's like, so what do we do? That's kind of the problem they're having. So they say, look, you need to ensure Horus wins as quickly as possible then, to minimize death and destruction. And Peter Sonica, who's there, basically can't handle this. He's like, what? I don't want to die. That sounds crazy. Like, obviously he knows he's gonna die eventually. But he's like, I don't want to. What? All humanity gone? And he can't handle it. It's too much. And then an Alpha Legion officer who accompanied them dies on the spot.
Okay.
His brain just collapses and he just dies. It's like, that was unwell. And John Grammaticus says, he saw the Acuity. It is a terrible thing, isn't it, pedo? Quite terrible and wonderful, too. Because in all the horror, it offers a chance. One pure, simple chance to save and despair and to protect. So, I'll ask you there, what do you think about that? These are the only 2 options you have.
That's interesting. So it sounds like the options are, right,
Either way, you're going to die.
either way, you're basically screwed. But there's one option where, from what I understand, the human race and all what kind of humans are completely wiped out, but there's no chaos, right?
Mhm.
Or the empire kind of goes
Stagnant.
stagnant, kind of like a husk of its former
And
self.
chaos gets even bigger, better, and
Or what, dude?
I mean, obviously, you have to pick the one where it's like, yeah, yes, humanity's gonna die off. You
Right,
gotta,
that's what you'd like to think.
but then you think like, well, no, we can find a solution. We can,
Right. Well, I was also going to say, like, the Space Marines and kind of the human empire are like so space racist. They're like, they don't.
It's,
Yeah,
it's like
right.
we can't. It's like you're a liar. We can't lie. Yeah, I think you're
Right.
lying though. It's like
Right. No.
why would like doesn't
Right. And so, like, even if it's not a good outcome and chaos is still there, they're like, well, I get to live that,
right.
like a better
So,
world without me in it. It's like,
but that's an interesting point then, because like you're thinking of like, okay, these are all alien races. These aren't humans. So we're saying, oh yeah, all humanity has died, but we'd be fine. You're like, I don't know. Of course, you would say tell me a plan where you win in the end.
right.
Eventually, Alpharius comes out of the meeting and talks to this guy Slauda. Slauda. I don't know. I think it's I don't know what race he is. He's some alien, right? And Slau basically asked him, "Do you have the strength to make this choice?" And it's an impossible decision. It just killed that guy over there, obviously. Whatever, you know. So, and Alpharius says to him, "I stand for the Emperor in all things. I am loyal to him, and I cannot break that bond. He has many great ambitions and the noblest of intentions. I know that above all else, he is determined to stand firm against the rise of chaos. He has always known the truth of it. The overthrow of the primordial annihilator is his greatest wish. So what I do, Autark, from this moment on, I will do for the Emperor." Does that tell you his decision? Not really.
Yeah.
But he does believe the Cabal.
Right. I will say it is interesting that he kind of calls out. He's like, well, they've always known. It's like, that's not supposed to, right? People aren't supposed to know that. But...
Yeah, I mean, of course the Alpha Legion would know because they know everything.
Right.
I think Primarchs know to a degree just because they're made of warp stuff in a way.
Okay.
So they kind of know. They're a little in tune with it, some more than others, but yeah.
Okay.
So he's like, I guess I have to join Horus because that is the only. If you're not lying, which you say you can't, then I guess it's your only choice. So the decision is made. The Alpha Legion leaves Nurth because this guy, Commander Namanjira, basically is like, we held down here, and then Alpha Legion's like, see ya, bye bye, and then they leave and turn toward go to Horus. Basically, they kill the rest of that army. The Alpha Legion does because it's like we can't trust you to tell them the decision we made here. Right. So, yeah, but yeah, that's kind of where that ends. Alpha Legion betraying, in a way, not betraying, but also betraying the Emperor.
Right.
So, yeah, it's kind of where this wraps up. So, what do you think about that? I think it's interesting because most of them betray, like Angon betrays the Emperor because he doesn't like the Emperor because he should have died. He wanted to die on his planet, and the Emperor wouldn't let him. That whole thing. Mortain doesn't like him because it's a similar thing. Lorgar doesn't like him because he yelled at him that one time, blew up his planet, which fair enough, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, Alpha Legion is the only one that's like, we're betraying the Emperor for the good of the Emperor.
Right. It's almost like the most, I don't want to say logical, but it's like almost the most thought through reason to kind of turn against him. It's like, well, this is not good for the Emperor, but also kind of is. And it's like, it's the continuance of the human race. And so it's interesting that they're not just like straight up, just like, okay, I'm evil now and I'm going to hate the Emperor because he wronged me in whatever way.
Right. Yeah. It's not like, we're not doing war crimes day one like Horus, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Interesting change of pace from the kind of Chaos Legions we've talked about. But yeah.
So, yeah, basically, Alpha Legion joins Horus, and they're going to meet with him in the Isvan system. And now every action they do from this point on is through that lens of the Acuity.
Right.
Even though they might do some things we get to later on that seem a little like, I think you did that because you wanted to. I don't think that, but, it is what it is. Well, next episode, we're going to jump back into kind of the main plot we were doing with Isvan 5, where things get a little crazy, but that'll be next time. But for now, that's all I have in this episode. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but that's okay. Sometimes you got to do that when you just kind of got to fill in some blanks here and there. Maybe I'll throw this one. Maybe I won't wait a week for this one. I'll throw this one just like in the middle of the week, just so, people don't feel a little cheated. It is what it is. All right. That's all. See you guys next time. Bye.